I love those coasters. Makes no difference what you do for a living. At the end of the day, the one thing we all have on our mind is money. How much we make, how much we spend, how much we get drilled by places of business and charging us ridiculous amounts of dinero with little service. We've all been there. At our fingertips daily is a resource we intend to bring to the fore. So let's welcome into MidPoint for a daily segment, Newsmax Director of Financial Letters, Jeff Yastine joins us. Jeff, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Ed.
Jeff, how's things doing on the market today?
The markets are doing fairly well. Dow is up about 15 points when I last checked it a moment or two ago, and it's been up through the whole day. Although it was higher, it was up as high as around 60 points earlier in the session.
Any sort of trends that we're looking at through the day that you can discern at this point? We know it's still too early because we're still looking at the end of the day coming up.
Yeah, the main thing I think is that this is a reaction rally, and a lot of it's due to the feeling of somewhat of a relaxation of international tensions in the Ukraine. Last week it was all about the Russians having troops on the border. Would they invade, not invade, that sort of thing. And it appears some of that is relaxing to a degree. At least that's how the markets perceive it right now.
I want to focus today on Kinder Morgan. It's an interesting group. It's a huge company, and they made a huge splash today talking about all four companies under their control. But let's talk specifically about what these are. This is something called an MLP, a master limited partnership. Explain what we're into here.
Yeah, a master limited partnership, they're very popular investing vehicles for income investors. MLPs are very big in the energy and in the mining sector, and they basically throw off lots of cash back to the people who invest in them, more so than a typical dividend stock. In the case of Kinder Morgan, they're deciding instead of being an MLP, they're going to buy in all of their existing sister MLP companies, there are four of them, and become one big, huge energy company, essentially.
Let's look at, we've got a graphic prepared here that looks at some of the numbers here, because Kinder Morgan, they announced on Sunday that KMI will acquire all of the outstanding equity securities of KMP, KMR, EBP. We see a lot of the numbers. Everything's green here as of August the 11th today at 1:42 Eastern Time. This is huge because the investors are just euphoric about the possibility here. It just seems they're driving the stock way up here. They love this idea.
Yeah, well, in part because the parent company is, again, they're going to be buying basically these sister firms and folding them back into the new organization, the new company. And that's sort of a key thing here. They're buying them in at a fairly decent premium. So if you hold the shares already, you're doing well, although I don't know that the payouts from the dividend stream that these companies previously threw off, I'm not sure that the dividend payouts are going to be quite as much under the new Kinder Morgan.
This isn't something that a lot of companies can do. I mean, don't you have to be a certain type of company, look for certain types of deals? I mean, this is not something that we're going to see every single day from a lot of the major companies, is it? No, certainly not. If you're a master limited partnership, or if you're a company that wants to do that, you have, by law, have to throw off a certain amount of income that passes through your company directly to the investors. Think of it, it's a master limited partnership. So you are a limited liability partner of that firm. So this really is specific to just Kinder Morgan for now, although it is interesting that Kinder Morgan was the largest MLP out there, and having that structure is what allowed them to grow so much. They own about 80,000 miles worth of energy pipelines and a lot of other assets. And the fact that they're now turning away from that because they've gotten so huge, it's tough for them to really grow anymore. So now they're having to basically go back to being, if you will, sort of a standard bricks and mortar type of company, not having that special MLP structure in order to grow. When they do grow, they apparently are looking to do a lot more acquisitions. So once they fold all these companies in, I think you're going to see Kinder Morgan's leaders go out and start acquiring other firms and acquire more assets in the way of energy pipelines, which are so important all out of time,
getting
Jeff.
Oil and natural gas back
all
to
out of time.
ports.
Sorry, don't forget, get the copy of Warren Buffett's #1 book by visiting FIR4111.com. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again tomorrow. Now let's take time out for another American moment.
On September 15th, 1950, General of the Army and Commander-in-Chief of the United Nations Forces, Douglas MacArthur, launched a surprise amphibious attack against the Communist North Korean Army at the Bay of Incheon in South Korea. Approximately 3 months earlier, The North invaded South Korea and soon captured its capital, Seoul. MacArthur, against the advice of his military advisors, chose Incheon for his counterattack. The move was risky. Incheon was heavily fortified, and American soldiers would face towering cliffs on its beaches. His maneuver caught the enemy completely by surprise. MacArthur quickly cut the North Korean army in half as their beleaguered army hastily beat a retreat north. For the moment, the government of South Korea had been saved. In an address to a joint session of Congress, General Douglas MacArthur uttered those famous words, "Old soldiers never die, they just fade away," and then added,
"I now close my military career and just fade away."
You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.